Good morning. Today we're going to do a little bit of shoulder work, a little bit of hip work. We're going to start off with some breathing. We will be on our knees a little bit, so if you need to put a blanket under your knees and have that handy, then make sure you grab that and have it close to your mat. So we're going to have a chair and a roller for this short practice. So let's begin in standing, or you can be in sitting. We're going to do something called tapping and percussion. You're going to take your hands and put them into a little bit of a fist and just do this. We can also call it Tarzan breath, where you're just gently doing this and exhaling through your nose or your mouth. So it might look like this, or so whichever it is, through your nose or through your mouth. The rhythm of your hands will probably become a little bit irregular. It's not that you need it to be regular, but this is a really great breathing technique when you're feeling like you're a bit held in your rib cage, or you want to bring your energy a little lower to your body. If you have somebody around you who can do the back of you, it's also really awesome. Okay, and then let that go. And notice your breath. It's sort of remarkable when we can free up this area and how grounded people can feel as a result. Okay, let's turn and face our chair. We're going to do a little bit of a forward bend, bring hands onto the chair, and let's just move initially through the shoulders and through the hips. Shoulders and hips. And then come back into that breathing that you just tapped out. And the idea here is, see how my torso is basically staying the same. And the movement, the articulating joint here is the hip and through the shoulder. Okay, now let's come down to the floor and bring our elbows onto the chair. You can place your hands together. And same idea, moving through the hips and the shoulders. Now this one can be a little bit trickier. It's a lot easier to do something like this or something like this as we move. And I want you just to see if you can feel it through your shoulders and your hips. And we're going to stop and then just let your head drop to the chair. If you find that you're way, way high and you're trying to drop your head and you need a block, you might want to put a block here instead. So if you're about here and you need to do that, then go for that. You can also stretch out this way too, with the aim to move yourself and to support yourself to move this way. Yeah? Lovely. Okay, and then come up out of that. Okay, now we're going to move a little bit further down and bring yourself into this position. So I'm not coming into child's pose like this. I'm keeping myself up high. And arms are reaching out, hands are reaching out. So very similar in movement with those last two. And now I'm going to position myself towards you. I'm going to take one hand and place it under the opposite elbow. So the position looks like this. And then reach that hand out. And you can drop your forehead down to the forearm, or your forearm if you want. Easy breathing. And then other side, reach forward and then switch the hands. And reach forward again. Lovely. Okay, now let's bring the roller into this. And we're gonna have our hips towards our heels. I'm just angling out here so you can see another angle of me. So I'm gonna bring myself into child's pose with my hands reaching forward. And then I'm gonna slide my arms out. So this is 12 o'clock. Now I'm gonna slide my arms out towards 1 o'clock. And I'm in a bit of a side bend here now. My hips are still moving toward my heels. And I'm reaching out with this left arm. And then coming back to center. Good, and then other side. And just notice that breathing again. Okay, now onto hands and knees. And that roller is going to roll away from me in a second. Okay. Come on under and roll through into a twist. Now, typically when we practice this position in yoga, people come straight to the floor and just drop themselves to the floor, which is a movement. I want you to focus in on the twisting part. So if I'm doing it from here, you're focusing on the twist, not dropping to the floor. This becomes a lot different, and so many people are limited in their twists, and it can impact shoulder girdle function and SI and QL and piriformis. So when we can get our twisting just that much better, I mean, heck, even if you play golf, your game will get better. Good. Okay, lovely. All right, now let's go to the other side. Okay, perfect. Okay, now from here, roller's going to come to the side. We're going to use it again, but now you're going to come up into gateway, and let's take a side bend. So big beach ball, round over the beach ball. And if you want to bring this arm up, you can. Just pay attention to what goes on through your hips and your shoulders. I've been getting a lot of people lately asking me about this idea of whispers. I talk lots about listening to the whispers so you don't have to hear the screams. But how do you really tune into the whispers? Yeah? So one of them is if you are here and you say to yourself, I really should be going further, when really maybe this is as far as you need to go, and then say you do go further, and then you feel some pain or strain. So even just a thought of saying, I really should go further, or this isn't really enough. Enough of what? Remember, range of motion and increasing range of motion does not correlate to reduction in pain. Okay, and then come on up. So just because you can move more doesn't mean your pain goes down or your symptoms go down. It's not about moving more, it's about moving better. That's the distinction, okay? Now you will likely move more when you move better, but the focus isn't moving more, the focus is moving better. And out of moving better, you move more. But when you move more, you don't necessarily move better. Interesting? Okay, let's come onto the floor. And we're going to take the roller again and come up into a bridge and slide that roller underneath your bum. Now this could be too high for you, and so if it is, you can always use a block, a little lower of a block, or even a blanket. How do you know if it's too big? If it feels like crap, that's how you know it's too high. The other is if as you lifted, you were like, you got to about here, you tried to push the roller under, you're like, oh, I better get my toes way up, then you know that you're a little too high too. Okay, so other than the yoga mat being sticky, it should be straightforward bringing that roller underneath your hips. Okay, so here you are, and just let yourself settle onto the roller or the block or whatever it is you've rested your hips on. And then you can slowly slide one foot away from you. Foot stays on the floor. So I want you to notice something. If I was to take my foot, the bottom of my foot off the floor, I could go a lot further. And that's not the aim. The aim is, can you keep the foot on the floor? It's a different movement. It's not better, it's not worse, it's not anything, it's just different. So just feel that. And easily breathe. And then bring that leg up. Other side. Move that leg forward. Just check in with your breathing. Check in with any jaw or head. Sometimes, and there's such a strong correlation between your hips and your head and your hips and your jaw, it's not uncommon for there to be a correlation between migraines and headaches and how your hips work. Same with TMJ. So don't be surprised, or if you do feel it, you can be surprised because sometimes it's utterly shocking when we start to notice the correlations. But when you notice it, just kind of go, oh, interesting. There is a correlation between how I'm feeling. So you can always bring the leg back up. Just because you've got the range doesn't necessarily make it helpful. Okay. All right, now let's bring one leg up to the sky and have the other leg join it. And easy, easy breathing. And then drop one leg down and then take that ankle onto the knee. And let's just play around with a little bit of hip rotation here. Good. And then bring that other leg up and rotate it onto the opposite knee. Rotate that leg bone. So I'm moving this leg bone away from my body, keeping the front of the hips quiet. Awesome. Okay. Ankle comes back down. Lift the hips. Move that roller and lie on back. And let's just rest the legs into Shavasana for a moment. We still have a couple more things to do before we finish up, but just feel what you've now just done. Notice what you're experiencing in your body. Bring one knee to your belly. Opposite hand comes over. Let's move into a twist. As you're moving, let the shoulder girdle stay exactly where it is. And then come on back. Good. And then other side. And then come back up. Good. And then legs come straight again. Feel what that feels like. And then bring your knees to your belly and roll those legs around. So you're breathing out as the knees come towards your belly, breathing in as the legs come away. Okay, lovely. And then bring the legs back down. We'll finish up with a butterfly. So feet are on the floor. We're going to move the legs into rotation, coming onto the outside of your feet, bringing the legs back in. So it's not Baddha Konasana where the feet slide together. Stay in touch with your hip joint, so leg and hip socket. Feel the foot roll onto the outside edge. Easy breath. All right, lovely. And then legs come straight again. And now again, feel, what did you just do? Notice how your body feels. Notice how your breath feels. And you can stay here for as long as you would like. It can also be interesting to come up into sitting before you move on, just to feel what it's like to be vertical with a lot less effort, a little bit more ease, and perhaps a little less tension. Lovely. Okay, you guys have a really, really great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care. Mwah. Take good care.